Peter Dutton's told Sky News he suspects Jacinda Ardern was grandstanding when she lashed out at Australia's deportation policy. Live now to New Zealand correspondent Jackson Williams for more. Jackson, the Home Affairs Minister's labelled the Kiwi leader's comments as regrettable.
Yeah, and suggested and believes, he says he believes that these comments really were designed for public consumption here in New Zealand. It was on Friday afternoon on the lawns of Admiralty House. Jacinda Ardern was standing beside her Australian counterpart when she took a public swipe at Scott Morrison. It came with a rather blunt message: do not deport your problems and your people here to New Zealand. The Prime Minister also claiming that the trans-Tasman relationship is being tested in the face of politics. What Jacinda Ardern is opposed to is Kiwi criminals being deported by Australian authorities, criminals who moved from New Zealand to Australia at a very young age. Peter Dutton says he suspects Jacinda Ardern is grandstanding ahead of an election here in New Zealand in 6 months.
New Zealand obviously is in an electoral cycle at the moment. It's, I think, regrettable that she made the comments, but that would have played well domestically for her. And I think for Australia, we act in our national interest, and her job is to act in the national interest of New Zealanders.
Jacinda Ardern claims that everything she said publicly in that media conference on Friday afternoon, she has said on multiple occasions behind closed doors in private meetings with Scott Morrison as well as with Malcolm Turnbull when he was Prime Minister. Here in New Zealand, non-citizens cannot be deported if they have lived in the country for more than 10 years. Now, Jacinda Ardern is wanting Australia to adopt a reciprocal approach, but we know that is unlikely. Despite that, Jacinda Ardern says she will not be giving up.
The Prime Minister, he stuck to his guns and I stuck to mine. So he has a pretty entrenched view of this, but I have to say so do I on behalf of New Zealanders. When someone is essentially a Kiwi, then we own that problem, and that's all we're asking that Australia does.
Despite Jacinda Ardern's condemnation and release, the Morrison government is not budging. Peter Dutton, in his interview on Sky News this morning, saying he has no regrets whatsoever about the number of visas that have been cancelled by his government.